Well, good morning and welcome to Writing Wednesday. I'm Coach Brenda Hare, happy to be here with you today. And today we're talking about it's kind of a follow up to last week's what I'm praying for as a writer, but this is what I'm trusting God for as a writer. So, as writers, as published authors, some of us, as anyone following a calling, really, we feel this angst sometimes to meet certain goals, to get to certain followers, likes, reviews, sales numbers, whatever those are. And a lot of that is placed on us by the world. It's the world standards of what is expected. And it has nothing to do with our calling, right? God may have not called you to get X number of followers or to sell a certain number of books. He called you to write the book. Now, the outcome is up to him, right? So, as authors, outcomes is one of the number one things that we need to surrender to God and trust him for. And so, I'm trusting God for the outcome of a lot of things right now. One huge thing is the expansion of my book boutique and journal bar. Some of you may have seen happened rather quickly. The boutique that I'm in decided they were going to make some changes, and so they said anyone who currently has a booth in here that wants to come in and look at space and decide if you want to expand or not, go ahead and come on in and look. And I found this perfect little corner spot that would give me some wall space because I don't currently have that. And so I thought, okay, this is a lot for me to take in. It's about 4 times the amount of space I have now, which means 4 times the rent, which means 4 times, 4 times the merchandise, all the things, right? So I said, let me go home and pray about this, and I will let you know as soon as possible. And so I prayed about it. I felt like God said, yes, you already have the merchandise. It's stored everywhere in your home because you don't have enough space. And so once you have the space, you can just move everything over. And so it's happening. And then I went over yesterday just to put one chair in my space that I had acquired, and I needed to get it there. And I thought, let me take this chair and a couple of things I had, a couple items, and one of the sweet ladies at the store said, "Hey, do you want me to help you move your booth over? Like, you can go ahead and move it over." And there was still some stuff in my space that wasn't mine, but she said, we can move it over, that way you can kind of lay out things and see. And I was like, okay. So I wasn't expecting that, but it kind of happened yesterday. And so there's a lot of, it will change a lot over the next couple weeks as I load in things and put shelves on the walls and all the things. But I'm trusting God. I'm trusting God for the outcome. I'm trusting God for the provision. I'm trusting God just for all of it. I feel like he's saying, yes, this is part of the vision and the dream I've given you. And so move forward, take the step. But it's almost takes my breath away to think of the amount of work it takes, the amount of merchandise it takes to fill the space, all the things. And then I have to sell the things. And it's just a lot of stuff. But today, I spent this morning, I'm doing this pause thing. I don't know if I've talked about it before, but it's like an app that you listen to. If you're interested, message me and I'll send you the information. But this is the second time I've done it. It's a different program, if you will. And so I'm going through this new program. I think it's something about experiencing Jesus. And this morning I listened to it. It was like 12 minutes, 13 minutes long. And then I spent 15 minutes in my prayer chair, AKA massage chair. And let me just tell you, with so much going on with the store upgrade, the beach retreat registration, which I need to put a time frame on. It's coming. I mean, we're in September. It's going to be here before we know it, right? It's September 26th through the 28th. If you haven't registered, get registered now. It's publishandtell.com/beach 2025. Get registered now. In fact, I'll put that link up. I need you to get registered because we're ordering swag and all the stuff. And so I need you to be registered for that. And I think some of you are on. Let me go look at the comments. I think Yvonne's on. She's going to be there with a prayer experience again this year in a separate room, which I'm so excited about. It's going to be amazing. Just having that second room that you can walk into gives you that, I don't know, it just makes the space more sacred. I'm so excited about it. So I've got the store, the beach retreat, the box. Jan's here too. She's going to be at the beach retreat this year, with hopefully a new book in hand. So I've got, speaking of, and then I've got Jan's book I'm wrapping up for her, cleaning up her final edits. I've got my writer's retreat box. So I've got all these bits and pieces everywhere, right? And I'm like, okay, God, I'm trusting you. But it was so hard to sit in that chair for 15 minutes. And this is the deal. It like cycles for 15 minutes, the massage chair. So I know like when I get in it, I have 15 minutes to sit with Jesus. And it's so hard to sit in that chair for 15 minutes. And the really cool thing about the chair is it like props. It's like one of those ones you see at a spa or whatever, where it goes back and you're like sucked into it, right? So you can't just jump out of it every time you have a thought that like, oh, I need to go do something, which is me the whole time I'm trying to pray, right? I'm praying and then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Okay. And let me go do this, God. And then I'll come back. And I'm stuck in this chair. And so God's like, no, that'll wait. Sit at my feet. Just sit at my feet. So it prompted me to come to you guys with the things that I'm trusting God for and the things as Christian writers we should be trusting God for. And outcome is one of them, right? Because he's calling us to the action. He's not calling us to the outcome. So we just need to be obedient to the call and leave the rest up to him and be okay with whatever it is that he has given us. When I started the beach retreat 3 years ago, it was 3 ladies. 3 ladies showed up. Now I only had space for 5. It turned out I really only had space for 3, because once we got there and we all got in and we all had our stuff, that was really all the space that we had. Last year I did get a bigger space. We had space for a lot more. I think I had 9 women total, 1 tuning in virtually, the rest there in person. And so we tripled the amount of women, and it was an amazing event. And the thing about keeping it small is that I'm able to help each person with their specific needs and books, right? And so it was so powerful and personal. And both of Jan and Yvonne, who are on now, were both there last year, and are coming back this year. So that should say something about the event. I'm so excited about what God's going to do. But here I sit in my prayer chair this morning praying, Lord, I have room. I have room. It makes me weep. I have room, Lord. Send the women. Who needs to come? Who needs to share the story that you've put on their heart? Who needs to learn how to do that? Who needs to spend time with you? Who needs to listen to the call and answer the call to write the book? Send those women, Lord, and let me help them. And so as I'm praying that in the chair this morning, I'm like, oh, and I should do this, and I'm like, stop with the I shoulds, right? Stop. And so I'm hoping that you're hearing yourself in me this morning, that when you're sitting there, you're like, oh, but I should do this and I should do that. And God's saying, no, just trust me. And I've told the Lord this morning, I'm like, Lord, I've run the ads. I've, all the things I'm supposed to do. And I'm trusting you for sending me not just women, but the right women who need to be there to share their stories. So if you're watching this and you think you're one of those women, reach out to me if you have any questions, because I would love to have you join us. And like I said, a couple of the women here today are watching. Jan says it was an awesome time, and she's coming back, with a book in hand, and she's had a pretty traumatic year, you guys. And so the fact that she's wrapping up her book right now is powerful. Yvonne was there, book idea, done, boom, on ready for the next one. She's been published since November, December of last year. She's ready to go. So exciting stuff happening with the women who are allowing God to work through them. And these are 2 of those women. So I'm excited to be going again and doing this, but that's not what this Writing Wednesday was about. This Writing Wednesday is about trusting God. And so I'm trusting God for the outcome of the beach retreat, of my book sales, of all the things that we feel as writers that we should be responsible for, right? We get so caught up in feeling responsible for the outcome of all of it. What we're responsible for is being obedient to the call, being obedient to the words that we write, being obedient to the things that we say, all of that, not the outcome. So here's a reminder to you that your writing is not just it's a calling, right? It's not just a career and it's not just a hobby, but it's truly a calling. So I want you to remember that when you're getting caught up in the I shoulds, right? And take a time. Now, there are actions that we need to take, there are things that we need to do, right? In order to get our books in front of people, in order to make them available, there are things that we are responsible for. However, we cannot control. We can set up our book in every bookstore across the United States, and that doesn't mean we're going to sell it, right? We're responsible for making sure that we get a good cover and stewarding the artwork well, stewarding everything that God's given us, doing it well. So, steward well what's been given you, what's been given to you. Okay. Outcomes is the number one thing I want you to trust God for. So when you start getting caught up in the I shoulds, I want you to pause and just say, Lord, I trust you for the outcome. Show me what's mine to do. Show me what's yours. I am not in control of the outcome, Lord. Now, if I need to reach out to a certain person, if I need to do an ad, if I need to do whatever, show me, but I'm not responsible for the outcome of that action. I just need to be obedient to the action. Now, the second thing that I'm trusting God for is the resources. The resources. And here's what happened during my that pause app I'm listening to today. It said something in there about I'm totally paraphrasing all of this, but it said something in there about how God's provided for me my whole life and how he will continue to. And I was just, it really set with me that why do I get caught up in these things of worrying about the resources of how is this going to happen? How's that going to, he has provided all along. He's provided for everything he's called me to. Now, does it always look the way I want it to look? No. Has it always turned out the way I wanted it to turn out? No. But he has provided. So resources can be not only financial, but time, creativity, connections, and support needed. So he's always provided those things to me. And it's funny, Yvonne recently sent me a little teapot and reminded me that I'm pouring into others and to continue to do that. And it was the sweetest little gift that she gave me. So thoughtful that she thought of me. It's just a little vintage teapot. And it's, if you look at the relationship, right? Yvonne is my client, but she's also a collaborator. We collaborate together to bring the prayer experience to the beach retreat. So we have this sweet dynamic relationship. And I don't know if she knows this, but she's as much as a support to me as I am to her. And so it's such a gift to have supportive people in your life, to have people there that are praying for you and supporting your vision and your goals. It's important. And if you don't have those people, you need those people. And if you're part of my community, guess what? You're being prayed for. You are being prayed for. I'm praying for your books. I'm praying for your time and your energy and your resources and all of those things. I'm praying that God would multiply that he would multiply your territory with your books, multiply your reach, multiply your speaking engagements, all of those things. And so know that you are supported. If you're part of my community, if you're not part of my community, I do pray when I go live that the people that will hear this, will be blessed. And so know that you are also being prayed for, but I would love to have you be part of my community and really get to know you and how I can pray specifically for you. Okay. The third thing is unseen impact. Now, this I talked a little bit about last week, but, and if you didn't watch last week, go back and listen. And I mentioned a young lady named Marissa. But this unseen impact, it's funny. I have another Marissa that falls into this category. There must be something with the name Marissa. Because just now thinking about it, it made me think of her too. It was when I was going through. So I used to go live with a prompt from Create Your Victory channel, 365 journal prompts to capture the goodness of God. When this book first came out, I went live every day with one of the prompts. And it was when I was just learning reels and all that. It was quite interesting. I can't believe people actually followed because I had to split it up into multiple parts because Reels at the time could only be 90 seconds long, and most of mine were like 5 minutes, and so I'd have to split it up, and so I'd put like part 1, part 2. I couldn't believe people were keeping up and following. But one day I got a message from Marissa, and it was just so impactful to know that she's like, oh my gosh, I'm following along. This is the best thing, blah, blah, blah. And it was just so impactful to know. But it was one of those unseen things I wouldn't have known about, right? I wouldn't have known that the seeds that I was planting, the words that I was putting out, were making the impact. But the Bible says that God's word's not going to go out in vain, right? It's not going to be void. So when we're speaking God's word and his truth, there will be a return. We just may not see it, right? There will be a return. So trust that. Trust that there will be a return, that your words are bearing fruit, even if you don't see the fruit personally. Okay. All right. The next thing I'm trusting God for are opportunities. And Laura, just if you're keeping track, I will go back and do a recap at the end, since you joined kind of midstream. And welcome, by the way. I just saw you join. Okay. Opportunities is the next one. Opportunities. I'm trusting God for opportunities, that he will open the right doors for speaking, for selling my books, for sharing my books, for who knows what else, that the opportunities will come, right? And it could be podcast interviews. It could be, maybe a second store location. It could be all these different things, but I'm trusting him that he will open the doors. Now, I'm not specifically praying for those things. I don't have the capacity right now for those things, but I'm trusting that God knows which doors to open, which doors to close, and that he will continue to open the doors that he sees fit, and that he knows that I have capacity to do. So for example, he could open a door for me that maybe is a speaking event where I just show up at the event and speak, versus me hosting an event like I'm doing for the beach retreat, which takes a lot more of my time, energy, and all the things, right? Because resources, period. Because I'm doing all the work, right? So 2 very different events. I do both, and I love both. And as authors, you get to choose, right? You get to choose and decide, do you want to do your own little event, or do you want to be part of another event, or both? And so I love doing both. I do the writer's retreat, beach retreat. This is our 3rd year now, and I'll be speaking at a big event in February at the Alto Frio Baptist encampment. So that's an event I just get to show up and speak at. Now, obviously, I'm part of the creative team that's helping, decide what's being said at the event, what the theme is, songs that are being sung, all the things. And it's really neat that we're having, that I have a beautiful singer. Her name is Erin. She's amazing. Performing at that, or I shouldn't say performing. She's really leading us in worship at that event. So I'm super excited about that event. Yvonne's been to that event. That's how I met Yvonne. And so I'm really excited about that event. And it's a breath of fresh air for me, because all I have to do is show up and speak the truth of God. Now, I say all. As speakers, that's not just all, right? We show up, we prepare behind the scenes, we, do all the things, and I'm going to try to launch a book before then. So I've got a lot going on before then. So it's not just, but it's different, right? So God knows my capacity. I couldn't do 2 beach retreats within 6 months. It's too much, right? It's just too much. In fact, I'm almost considering not doing a writing retreat in January. I have one on the schedule in Comfort, Texas, again, this in January. And I've had people ask for another writing event, but I'm not sure if I want to do it, because not that I have to do so much for that event, but I do have to do more than, so there's different variations, right? That one more, I'm collaborating with the host of the venue. So there's different combinations, if you will, of how to show up for an event. I like doing it all and I like doing none. I'm not sure I want to be in the middle. So I don't know. We'll see how that event goes, if I keep it on the books or not. For now, there will be a vision event in January for sure, but the writing retreat, not so sure in January. Anyway, that's a little insight information. Okay, let's go on to the next one, what I'm praying God for, or trusting God for. I'm trusting God for timing. And as writers, I know Jan's probably going, "Huh, yes." As writers, we have to trust God for the timing. Jan's book is this close to being finished, and she wants to have it in her hands by the time we get to the beach retreat. It's going to be close. We're going to see how we can get it uploaded and on all the things, and she can get books in hand and get them there. But we have to trust God for the timing. If it doesn't work, we have to trust God that He knows better. He has a bigger plan. It's better than rushing. It's better than striving to make something happen. We have to trust God for the timing, and God's led us to this point, and so we have to just say, okay, God, we're going to be good stewards of what you've given us, and we trust you for the timing. And so that's where we are, right? Today, I'm going to try to polish up the rest of Jan's book and hopefully get it uploaded. And so we're trusting God for the timing of all the other things that need to happen moving forward. So that's a big one, trusting Him for His timing. It may be a book that you're working on. It may be just writing a book. It may be an event. It could be a million things. Is this the right event, the beach retreat? Is this the right timing for you to attend this event? Maybe that's something you need to trust God with. If you haven't joined yet, you haven't signed up yet, trust Him for the timing. Is it the right timing or not? You just don't know what God has planned for you. Okay. Lastly, and I think one of the most important things that I'm trusting God for, and this is a hard one for me, and this is the one that I don't like to admit because it's where pride shows up. And I don't consider myself a prideful person. I try to be very humble and very relatable. I'm very authentic. But when I start looking at identity, that's the last one, I start feeling pride well up because my worth is not determined by any of these books behind me. But because I have 10 books published, there's this persona that comes and people are like, oh, she's got 10 books published. She must, her life must be gravy and everything's just perfect. And it's far from it. Okay. Far from it. I wake up every day and just say, okay, God, what are we working on today? And, it's an everyday trusting Him. But I have to trust Him for my identity, that my identity is not based on the number of books I sell. It's not based on the number of books I write. It's not based on the number of events I attend or host or any of those things. It's all about Him. My identity is, I know who I am because I know who He is. I'm a child of God. That's the first and foremost important thing in my life. And if everything else went away, I would be okay with that. And it took me a long time to get to that point in my life, but I remember it clearly. I was dancing to a song. I was worshiping to a song. And it talked about kind of if this was it. And would God be enough? And it's like, yes. I'm finally to the point that He is enough for everything. If everything else in my life went away, all the beautiful things I can see in my office right now, all the people online that are listening, the technology, all the things, if they all went away, would I be okay? Yes, because my identity is in Him. My identity doesn't come from all of this. Now, this is something He's called me to. This is something I'm being obedient in, and this is something I'm stewarding. But if it all went away, I would just have to trust Him, right? And but the whole topic of today is about trusting Him, that I'm still His, so He still has a plan for me. It just looks completely different, right? And so I want you to, two things from this week. I want you to focus on this verse, first of all. Share Psalm 37:5. Many of you probably know it, but it's commit everything you do to the Lord. Trust Him and He will help you. So I love this verse, and this is a if-then verse because it's a lot of people were like, God will help you, God will help you, God will help you, God will help you. Yes, He will. But listen to the first part of the verse, right? It's commit everything we do to Him. So are you doing that? Trust Him. Are you doing that? And He will help you. That's the end of the verse. And he will help you. So are you doing your part? Are you committing everything you do to him? And are you trusting him? You know, as I was praying through this space, and this makes me weepy, this new space it's 120 square feet, you guys. That's huge. At least it feels huge to me. Going from a fourth of that, right? Going from 8 little square feet on the floor, whatever it was, to this much space. It feels huge. And as I was praying through it, I said, God, I want, because I have all this stuff to put in, all the fixtures and the decorations and the merchandise. And I'm praying through and I'm like, okay, God, how do I want people to feel when they come in this space? And how do I make them feel that? And what I want them to feel when they come into that space, this is the same, for my beach retreats. I want them to feel your presence. And I want them to feel like anything is possible with you. That's what I want them to feel. I want them to feel your presence, and I want them to feel that anything is possible with you. So when people come in to my space, into this book, boutique, and journal bar, I want them to feel different, right? First of all, this difference, that they're walking into a space that is sacred, and it's not just a sales booth in a shop, right? I want to create this space, and that's why I'm so excited about this space, because it's an actual, it kind of goes on what I was saying about the beach retreat and how Yvonne has her own room now to create. It becomes this sacred space, right? When you can kind of enclose it. And so it's got like it's not that it has a door, but it's a space that you're walking into that is truly like a little room. And I want that space to feel different from the rest of the store. When people walk in there, I want it to be so different. And so I'm really trying to be creative and tap into my memory of all the things Yvonne taught me in her book. How do I create this almost a spiritual oasis in the store, right? And that's the title of her book, if you don't know. Yvonne Boggs's book, Spiritual Oasis. I highly recommend it. It's creating a prayer experience. But to me, that's what I want the space to feel like. I want it to feel like a prayer experience. I want people to walk in and be like, wow, I could do this. I could journal my thoughts. I could draw deeper with the Lord through journaling. I could maybe write the book that he's called me to write. But that it's this beautiful sacred space. And it does make me weep because it's such a big undertaking, if you will. So let me recap. Laura, we have room for 20 women this year, 20. So if you know of anybody who wants to join you, we have space. So let them come, bring the people that you know. Jan says she has a friend that she was bringing. So hopefully that woman will join us. If you know of anyone, we have room for 20. Okay. Let me go back and recap. So for those, and here's the thing about even me in recapping this, I want you to write down specifically the things that you're trusting God for in your own writing journey, maybe in your own life, but specifically as writers in your own writing journey. What are you trusting him for? Are you trusting him that this book will make it to the beach retreat in time? Maybe that's what Jan's trusting for. Maybe you're trusting for the provision for the editing or the next cover design or whatever it is, that whatever stage you're in, what are you trusting him for? So here are the points. Again, just to recap, the things I'm trusting God for, the areas. I'm trusting him for outcomes, resources, unseen impact. It's there. We just can't see it. For opportunities, to know which ones to go towards and not go towards, right? For timing, and ultimately for our identity. All right. So commit everything you do to the Lord. Trust him, and he will help you. And again, that's Psalm 37:5. Write down what you're trusting God for. Remember that our words and our act of obedience is really seeds planted, and that we may never see the flowers that bloom, but God sees them and he nurtures them, and a lot's going on under that soil that we may never know about. So that's what I have for you today. If you are attending the beach retreat, Laura actually reached out. She's attending, and she reached out about giving authors the opportunity to share a little bit more about their book, what they're working on, that type of thing. And so it's twofold. One is if you haven't already downloaded my author talk, how to prepare an author talk, I want you to go and grab that. If you're in my community, it's inside the content library, probably under marketing, I think. Go look for it, grab it, study it, create your author talk based on that. If you're not in my community, send me a private message, leave me a comment with your email. I will email it to you. I want you to get this in your hands because if you're attending the beach retreat, I want you to have this because I want you to be able to be prepared when you get up to speak. And normally this is reserved for authors that have books, and we're doing a book signing. Last year at the book signing, we didn't do author talks at all. And I had already decided that this year we are doing author talks. And so the author that reached out, her book isn't ready yet. It won't be ready by the time the book retreat comes. Or the beach retreat comes. And so she asked, could writers have this opportunity? And I think there is a place for that to happen. So what I'm thinking will happen is that when we introduce ourselves, we will have an opportunity to do this. So if you're listening, this is a little prep for the retreat. You'll have an opportunity to introduce yourself and your book in this way, as if you were speaking to your audience of readers, okay? And then if you are signing books at the book signing, which I'm still confirming whether that's going to be at the bookstore or at our venue, this will give you a practice run for that evening when you do that, or for the next evening, because we'll do the first one on Friday and the second one will be on Saturday night at the book signing. So it'll give you kind of a pre-run. So you'll get to pre-run. Now, this is usually literally 2 to 5 minutes is the time period that we have, depending on how many authors we have. 2 to 5 minutes. Imagine, if we have a room full of 20 people and we went 2 minutes, that's 80 minutes. So that's an hour and a half, right, of just introducing ourselves. And so 2 to 5 minutes, and you need to be able to shrink and contract, right? You need to be ready to go longer if you have longer and shorter if you have shorter. And I teach all of this in my coaching community, how to shrink and contract your message from any book, right? From whether you're talking about this book or any of these books, you should be able to talk I could go 16 hours, right? This is a 16-hour book. Or I could go 6 hours. That's the audiobook. Or I can condense it into 20 minutes, which I've done in a message before. I've done a 30-minute message. I've done an hour message. So you've got to be able to shrink and contract your messages. And that's one of the things for the beach retreat. So yes, Laura, thank you for the suggestion for adding in non-published authors or authors that are not yet published. I think it's a great suggestion. So you can start getting your feet wet, start getting comfortable talking about your book. And then for the authors that will be at the beach retreat with their books in hand, you'll be able to do that evening. And if you're to the point where, like Jan, she may have books, may not have books. And I talked last week in the community about what to do if you don't have your book yet. And that's up in the marketing section of the content library. Go watch that. And if that is you and you're truly that close to, you could potentially do pre-sales, and we'll talk about that. Now, if we're in the bookstore, we may not be able to do that. So I may weigh that option depending on how many authors are published and not published and attending and all of that. So I will let you know as we get closer, which is, in a week or so, we'll know more. Okay, that's all I've got for you today. If you're not already registered, get registered, publishandtell.com/beach2025. That's all I have for you today. Happy writing, and trust in God with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. He will make your path straight. He will. And it will be more than you ever dreamed of. Okay, that's all I've got for you today. Bless you, and y'all have a great Writing Wednesday.